What's up, Profitable Stylist? Here we go. This week we are coming at you with Giovanni, who all of you have seen and requested for him to be back on. I got rid of Bernard. I've replaced him with Giovanni.
Not true, but
Not
I'm happy
true.
to step in. He's got some other requirements that he needs to do today, so I got the pleasure of being on, and I'm excited. I love being here.
It's super excited because having you on means your father Marty is going to be watching, which means I can only picture him in a lounge chair in his undies watching this on a big screen TV.
Yeah, probably.
And
What's up,
Marty,
Marty?
if that's what you're doing, man, I'm so proud to be part of that moment in a really weird way.
We love hanging out with Marty in his underwear.
And that is an experience. And that's what we're talking about today. How do you get the experience to get a job that requires you to have experience, prior experience, to be able to get that job? That's our topic of discussion today.
So are we talking about how you get the experience, or are we talking about how do you apply for a job when you have none?
It's a little bit of a combination of both, right? So you apply for a job. So yeah, even if you do apply for a job, and then they'll be like, everything looks good, but you need some experience. But the only way to get experience is to have a job first. So it's like you're in this weird conundrum, right? Like, what do? You're like, you get stuck sometimes. Some people get stuck sometimes.
Sure, I get that. I feel like the answer that pops into my head right away first is you have to learn to control your fear. Because if you're an individual that's scared to even go approach a mentor or somebody that can help you, you're never gonna get there. You know, you gotta put your big people pants on and kind of get out there and be like, you know, if I was envious of somebody in the industry and I had zero experience, say I wanted to get into Hollywood or whatever, I would go up to every single person that I could try to talk to and just physically tell them, I don't have the experience, but I'm willing to work for it. I will work for free. I will shadow you. I will do whatever I need to do to get this experience because I want it that bad. And if you're willing to just give me some time, you don't have to pay me, just give me some time to show me what's going on, I will be your best student ever. And if you do that, if you approach it that way, I don't see many people that would tell you no. And if they did, then they're, you know, I can't say the word on here without getting fined, but D-bag, I could say.
They're jerks.
And
they're
they're jerks. And it's like that kind of person you don't want to work for anyway. So forget that.
It really is a powerful message, and that really is a powerful answer. There's a powerful message within the answer that you just gave. And I'm right there with you on it. And if we break that down into a couple of parts, it hopefully will simplify it or make it easier for people watching this to wrap their minds around it. Because there's the mental aspect of putting your big boy pants on or getting over that initial fear of being able to talk to somebody and getting rejected, you know, and how many times would you have to get rejected before you finally find somebody to give you a chance? There's that aspect of it. And then there's the monetary aspect of it where you're going to be committing to working with and for somebody, and you're going to be put out for a while. And then that might force you to either rely on somebody else financially, or you may have to go get a second or third job just to supplement some level of income in there, right? And then there's that third aspect of it where is your professionalism and your dedication to your professionalism for your career, where you're not just looking at this as a job anymore. This is the future. So those are the three takeaways that I get out of it. I'm not sure if there's anything else that I missed that you want to add into that.
No, I like it. It makes total sense.
So then if we tackle I think the worst part of it is the mental part of it. I want to tackle that one first, if you're cool with that one.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, fear, the word fear and scared, you know, it really puts me on a rant every class that I teach. I always, anytime a student or a stylist says to me, oh, they're scared to attempt this, they're scared to try this out, I always stop the class. And then I say, listen to me, everybody sit down. We need to have a little powwow, gather around, right? The word fear or the word scared and fear should be eliminated from your vocabulary. You should do whatever you need to do to kill that from your vocabulary. 100%.
1000%.
Right. What you should replace that with is nervousness. It is okay. It is 100% okay to be nervous about doing something that you're not comfortable to do, that's taking you out of your comfort zone. But don't be scared to go out of your comfort zone. That shuts you down. That fight or flight response shuts you down into flight. Being nervous, you start remembering all kinds of little details of what you're supposed to do or what you should have done or what you learned somewhere else that you had forgotten about or you may not thinking about in the moment.
So hold that. You just said the word that I'm thinking about. You said the word learn. So what fear does is it keeps you from learning. You can't learn without making mistakes. I don't care who you are. You're going to fail. That's going to teach you a lesson, and you're going to become better. I mean, that's the aspect of life. When you're a baby and you're trying to learn how to walk, you fall a million times. But you keep going, and you learn how to walk, and then you learn how to talk. And then you have to learn how to eat right when you get older, and you got to learn how to exercise, and you got to learn how to be better. You know what I mean? It's always learning in life, no matter what. And the second you forget that and you start to be scared of learning and scared of everything, then you are going to be stuck, and there's zero people to blame but yourself. And that's really what it gets down to is, do you have the drive and the confidence to push yourself to be the best of what you can be? Only you know what that is, and only you know how to get there. So that's why that mental part of it is so huge.
I love the child analogy because the innocence of a child, to just sit there and watch a kid start figuring things out, they literally just don't know. That curiosity is a beautiful thing because they just have no idea that if they touch that, they're going to burn themselves. If they jump off the sofa, they're going to fall and hurt themselves. You know, they just don't know, but they want to find out. And then what's even funnier is, even as an adult now, I burn myself on the curling iron, you know, Monday. So I've got this nice little welt, this nice little, you know, burn mark on my thumb. All I've been doing at it since Monday is picking at it and saying ouch, and picking at it again and saying ouch. And I'm trying to figure out at what point will I finally be like, okay, that hurts way so much, I can't do this no more, you know?
Yeah, and I also want to throw something else out there too, which this may make some people laugh, but it's, so when I was 21 or something like that, I remember going on a vacation to the beach and I parasailed and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I just went parasailing with my wife and kids a couple weeks ago in the Dominican, and I was scared to death. I used to be a springboard diver. I used to be a platform diver. I'd be jumping from 30, 40, 50, 100 feet up even in West Virginia when I went to college. We had a bridge that was almost 100 feet off of the river, and we would jump off that. No fear whatsoever. So my point is, when you're young, and I feel terrible for the young people now, because the young stylists that come into the salon for me now are so scared. But when you're young, you should have no fear. Because when you get older, it's really hard to fight the fear because you have so much more to lose in life at that point. When you're 43 years old like myself and married with kids, your fears are exponential compared to what they are at 25 years old. So if you don't learn how to control that when you're young, you're never going to do it when you're older. It's going to be impossible to fight that. So when you're young, you should be able to really mentally challenge yourself and fight that fear. Because if you wait until you're in your 40s, it's not going to happen.
From an industry level, I think one of the things that I have observed in the past 20 years is there's been this slow shift. And I say over the past 20 years because I don't know exactly when it started happening. 30 years ago, when I, you know, and you right behind me too, or you right at the same time, when we first came into the industry, all of our mentors would always say, do it, cut that hair, foil that hair, do that color, make a decision, right or wrong, make that mistake, own your mistake, own that style, own that look. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's been this progressive shift over the past 20 years that I have observed that nobody wants to try to push the style so hard. Everybody's trying to kind of stay within the same reason and stay within the same trend. Everybody's
Safe.
afraid to say safe. That's the word. Yes. Everybody's trying to be really, really safe. And I think that has really, it's crippled. It's
It's
literally
boring.
crippled.
It's extremely boring.
Yeah.
We haven't had an actual like new trend that someone's created since like the Vidal Sassoon days. There hasn't been a hairstylist that's come out and pushed the envelope and been like, I just made this up and it was something that worked and was cool, because people have lost the creativity for the industry. They're all wanting to just do the same thing everybody else does. Everybody's Instagram profile, as far as a hairstylist goes, they're all exactly the same. They all do side by sides of the back of the head with waves in it. There's nothing fun. Nobody's pushing the envelope. And if you're thinking that you do with color because you're doing fashion colors, that has been done for 30 years. You're not special. Your rainbow look that you think is so awesome, I saw that in 1975 from pictures of people that were doing it back then. You're not cool. You're just, now there's a whole bunch of people on social media that do it, but you're not special. There's nothing new. You didn't show me anything. You know what I mean? Like you didn't. All you did was take an old technique and show off some cool pictures with some good lighting. So you're a better photographer than the next guy. That's it. It doesn't really transfer over into passion for your craft and creativity that you're just exploding out your head, that you have to break the rules and try new things. And that's what I miss. When I first got into this industry, that's all I was surrounded by, was people that wanted to break the rules. Tell me why you can't have a light root and a dark end back then. That's what we were trying to do. We were doing all these different things. And that's where you saw some of the inventions of these different colors come about in
Yeah.
the competition world, is through all that. And it's kind of even funny, like, even in the world level of competition, the creativity has changed. The envelope pushing has changed. It's almost like you're still kind of pigeonholed within a look and you can't be expressive like you used to be. It doesn't mean you can't be. It just means you don't get rewarded for it anymore.
There's a shift towards what's commercial and sellable
Right.
versus what is strongly artistic and avant-garde.
The problem in my mind with that is, you people will talk about how much they hate consumerism, but yet they're not doing anything to change it. you know I take like these websites like Shein and all this other stuff that all these people, well, I don't like China and I don't like this and that and whatever, it should be made in America, but yet I'm going to spend $100 on 70 things made by little 12-year-old Chinese kids because it's easy to get. Well, you're acting one way and saying another thing, and it's nothing but BS to me. It's
That's
like we got to get back to like, no, this is my craft. I want to be the best at it, and I want to break the rules, and I want to be independent, and I don't care what other people think.
and that's the most important thing. You got to take that chance. Some people may not like you, but some people will. There's always going to be a balance. There's always going to be a balance. You're not going to impress everybody. Not everybody's going to be happy. You're going to have 10 clients in a
It
day.
shouldn't even be a
and
concern to impress everybody.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares what other people think?
because there's always somebody else to replace that person. And you got to decide as an individual, who are you? How artistic are you? How special are you? And how much that matters to yourself. And then automatically that energy will be put out there. You will bring back that energy. So that mental aspect of never jumping because you're so terrified that you're going to break a leg or you're going to get hurt or something's going to happen, it's extremely crippling. It's very, very crippling.
Right.
It's very unfortunate. So a lot of the mentoring that I do nowadays is really motivational mentoring as well too. It's not just teaching techniques, and it's not just working along somebody how to build up their business, behind the chair with their books. It's also an aspect of how to carry yourself as well. I saw a video this morning before we got on. I was looking at a video this morning, and one girl on there, she was saying, just because I refuse to go out in my pajamas doesn't mean I'm conforming and catering to some. It was, she was being political about it, which I don't really care about. But she was saying, it's just, that doesn't mean I'm trying to conform to this. That just means I have respect for myself, and I don't feel like rolling out of bed and just walking out the door in my pajamas, because that means I don't feel good today, and I'm showing the world that I don't feel good today. So when I do dress up and take a minute to put makeup on and get dressed and do my hair is on point, don't sit there and tell me, oh, I'm just being a whatever thing. Look at me like I took the time to respect myself, to wake up, and I felt good about myself, to make myself try to look presentable and look good too. So that's a compliment to myself, and you should be complimenting me back. You should be respectful of my decision to respect myself, And it was an interesting point of view, because unfortunately a lot of people now do literally roll out of bed and just walk right outside, and they don't feel good about themselves, and they don't care about their appearance as much anymore either.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at that as that's on them. So I hear both sides to that. So like the girl that got all dressed up, put her makeup on, the description that you just explained to me, she still cares about what other people think about her. That's her whole mission, is to get other people to tell her, like, you should respect me for this. No, nobody needs to respect you but you. You know what I mean?
No, she's saying she respects herself enough to get herself dressed up.
And I get that. But like the whole social media part of that, if somebody makes a reel or talks about that on social media, they're not doing it for just themselves. They're doing it so other people can be like, oh, wow, you did. Yeah, you look great, blah, blah, blah. Like, all that stuff to me is what causes a lot of the mental illness in the society now. It's like back in the day, I got dressed up because I wanted to feel good and look good and go out, and I didn't care about other people telling me, because trust me, some of the outfits I wore were like not, but I thought I felt great. I didn't care what other people thought. I had a suit jacket. I spray painted a G on the back and would wear out to the bars all the time, and I thought I was cool, Mr. Cool. And 10 years later, people are like, remember that jacket you spray painted a G on? You were such a D-bag back then. Like, and I was like, I don't care. I liked it. I thought it was awesome, and it just never. But having that confidence and learning that confidence, that's the part that I think is important. And that's the difference too now versus back in the day when we were younger. I feel like when we were younger, we had a lot of mentors that specifically worked on building our confidence, and I feel like that's a lost art, and that's why some of the fear has come back into the industry, and it's coupled with other things like social media's influence on the industry and everything else that's helped people sit behind a screen for their confidence rather than being outwardly confident. I see more I see more stylists that come into my shop young that have zero confidence, that I have to really figure out just to plan, if I want to keep them as a stylist, just a plan to boost their confidence first. Because if I don't boost their confidence, then I can't ever expect them to learn at the level that I want them to learn.
So be strong. Have an opinion. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's yours. There's nobody to tell you what your opinion is. If you truly believe and feel from your heart, that is your opinion, right? But at the same time, don't be closed-minded about it either. Be open-minded enough to be willing to listen to other people too, but then make a decision. Does that make sense or not?
That's called humility and being humble. You can have confidence and be humble at the same time.
Absolutely.
I was confident and cocky way beyond my years when I was in my early 20s, but I was still humble enough to listen to the 50-year-olds that had been doing it for 25 years. And even though mentally I was telling myself inside, I can do better, I can beat you, I want to beat you, like I was pushing myself in that way. And that's just my competitive mentality, my competitive spirit that I feel like I was kind of born with. But it wasn't that I was born with it. I just had a lot of very supportive people around me growing up that always told me you can do it. You can do this. My grandma was number one. She was like, you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. And I really took that phrase and implemented it. And, later on in life, when you talk about it, you hear people say things like, you've had a great life. You always accomplished great things and this and that. They never see the struggles. They don't see the hard times. But in the end, when I think back about my life, I think back about all the failures that I picked myself up from. That's what got me there. From me working with All Nutrient, I failed miserably with that too. Like, I was at a rough point in my life where partying took over and things like that. And it's like, those are things that I lost that I don't really share with a lot of people. Now the whole world knows, but
Yeah,
back
right.
in the day, that was what I was afraid to let people in on, and now in my older years, now I cherish those lessons because that's what made me truly who I am. It's the failures that I
That's
got
what
back up
matters.
from,
You learn.
you know?
You learn. They're all learning experiences. And
Yeah.
that's what's really important, because how you deal with it and how you move forward with it is what makes you better. It becomes a building block to get you up to the next level. And then that goes right into how much are you willing to, from a monetary standpoint, how much are you willing to sacrifice to gain? How much are you willing to sacrifice as an investment up front to get as a return on your investment later on the back end? And what do I mean by that is, I can't tell you how many times I've worked for free. I've done a project for free. I volunteered to do something with zero expectation out of it whatsoever, and then I've had to work multiple hours on the back end somewhere else to make up for lost time, lost bills. Well, not lost bills, but running behind on bills and things like that. There is this weird mental block that that exists that says you should never do anything for free. But what really constitutes as payment? A lot of people just see the actual dollar, the monetary dollar, as a form of payment, and nothing else matters. And I don't agree with, personally, I don't agree with that.
I
If,
don't either.
yeah,
But I don't either, but I also don't agree with getting in the habit of giving yourself away either, because there is that fine line that happens where I experienced it, even where, I would work for free or for cheap, and then you never get past that point because the company will take advantage of you or whatever. So you have to also be careful. Obviously, if you're young and you're starting out, um, the benefit you're getting is the knowledge. That is your payment. And you have to view it that way. If you want to go be a Hollywood movie, hairstylist, you have to put time in, and you're not going to get paid. Your payment is being on set and your name in the credits, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then after you do that for a year or two, then you can start to demand small payment, but you're never going to feel like you're getting what you're worth in the beginning if you are looking at monetary only.
yeah.
And honestly, when I think about money, money is just paper, man. It's something that was invented for control purposes. That's all. We're the only species on this planet that has to pay to live here.
It's, if I
We are, think
love,
about that. We are literally the only species that has to pay to be on this planet.
yeah, because everything else is a barter.
Everything
Everything
else
else
is
is a
free.
trade. It's a free, right? So
Animals don't pay to live here.
that's what I was going to use as an example. I love sharks. And growing up, I was always fascinated by sharks. But then when I actually got to see sharks, I never realized. I just thought they had like whiskers or something. I never realized. I think they're called lampets. Those little fishy things that suck on the side of the sharks.
Yeah.
I never realized what they were for. I never realized those were even a thing. And then when I started discovering what's going on, those little guys latch onto the shark. The shark doesn't get mad about that either, because when it bites something, when it eats something, it gets stuck at, the fish guts get stuck in its teeth, and those little things go in there and they clean
They
it up,
clean it. Yeah.
right? So now they're getting fed, so they're happy and they're hanging out with the big boy. And then the big boy's walking around, he's happy because now he's got more room in his mouth to go bite something else. I'm like,
Right.
wow, that is so wild. You know? So
Yeah.
when you look at when you look at being a gopher, you know, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to be a gopher. Actually, it's a pretty cool job sometimes if you're doing it like you said. You're not a charity. You're doing it for a purpose.
Right.
So that trade-off is you're not getting paper monies, but you're getting experience, you're getting knowledge, and you're making connections. People talk, people gossip, people applaud and reward, compliment. Your name is going out there, just like you said in the movies. Your name will be on those credits, and people will see that. People will walk around and say, "Oh man, Giovanni, he was such a cool guy to work with. He was so nice to have in the room. You know, he's so cute. Look at those cheeks." You know, like they'll say something.
Stop it.
You know, they'll say something nice and they'll remember you. And then just from little conversations like that, the next project that comes along or the next opportunity that comes along, somebody's going to say, hey man, Giovanni put in that time. He was really a hard worker, and without him, you know, he was a really key component. Without him, this project won't be the same. We should get him on there. And then they'll start reaching out to you. And like you said, this is where you start building up. Then you could start saying, all right, well, you know my value. Yeah, that's right. You're creating intrinsic value of yourself.
You are. And that's the thing. That's what people don't realize is by putting some time in and maybe not getting paid, but getting that experience, that's where you are creating your value. So, for example, there's a story. I'm a huge music fan, and I grew up in the 80s, 90s. So one of my favorite bands was Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And
band.
one of the guitar players, the original guitar players, was this guy who started a band, Filter. I don't know if you remember Filter as well. So the guy that is in Filter, I forget his name, it's escaping me at the moment, but he was playing guitar for Trent Reznor, and he was getting paid pennies. And he did it for a couple of years. I don't know if he was on one record or a couple of records. I think he was on a couple of records. But after a while, he's like, dude, you're living in the mansion. I'm still living in my van. What the heck? And Trent Reznor just looked at him and said, you want this life. Go make your own record. Go figure it out, you know? But he had worked for pennies for a while until he got sick of it. And then at that point, he had to make the decision. Do I want to keep working for pennies, or do I want to go put the time and effort and work in and sacrifice, not making money, making content, but not making money in order to get that big payday down the road? And he made it. He had 5 or 6 albums that were pretty big on his own. You know, were they as big as Nine Inch Nails? No, but was he a multimillionaire and living in the big mansion and having the cars and all that? 1,000%.
He carved out his own little piece.
So, yeah. Now what's fun is when you talk to them in their 50s and you listen to them talk, they all say, yeah, it was great, the money and this and that, but what I miss is the relationships, you know? So you get that with age, and you get that with understanding. And you know, when we're young, yeah, we want money. But as we get older, we start to realize that, you know, the saying time is money makes so much more sense in your 40s, because I'm not working for money anymore. I'm working and trying to make what I need to make so I have as much time with the people I love as possible. You know, so it's like that time to sacrifice and do all these things is while you're younger. And that's why I think this is a good topic of conversation, because that's the issue with the young people now, is they live in fear of everything, and they need to stop. They need to get out there. They need to start, you know, not being fearful and just living in life and making mistakes again and pushing the envelope and breaking the rules, but doing it with intention.
I remember I was a punk in every sense of the word. I dressed like
you
one.
were not.
I dressed like one. I totally looked like one. It was I did not care. And I remember my first job. I showed up. I filled out the application, and I walk in, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And the store manager at the time, he walks out and says, "Sir, have you been helped?" I said, "No, I'm waiting for my interview." And he goes, "You're ready?" And I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "No." And I go, hey man, you walked out here with that with my resume in your hand, man. You must have thought something like it was worth something. What the hell? He goes, look at you. I go, yeah, look at you. So what? And of course he goes, exactly. That attitude of yours is the only reason you ain't gonna get this job, because everything else on paper looks fantastic. He goes, no, you ain't working here. I don't care where you end up working, but you ain't working here. And that pissed me off so bad that I was like, no, I will work here. Well, what's the problem? What's the matter? You know, he goes, first of all, our customers are not Mohawk customers. You need to comb your hair. You need to go wash your hair because it's 3 feet up in the air. I go,
yeah, but I disagree with that in today's world.
In today's world, okay, fine. But again,
because
you know,
for me as a business owner, I don't want the only people coming in. That guy, that boss, that owner, he attracts those clients to come to him. The problem is he thinks everybody in his salon should be that. Well, then you're pigeonholing yourself. When Michael Jordan wanted to sell his Air Jordan shoes, he didn't go and back any politicians on either side, specifically because both Republicans and Democrats buy his shoes.
Everybody wears shoes.
So why would he screw himself in that sense? You know, so it's the same thing. As a business owner, the more individuals I have in my salon and the more I allow those people to be individuals, the more clientele they bring in. That's more people for me. That's more money. It's not the opposite. So that mentality, as far as a lot of the older bosses now, that's what's killing them. That's why they can't have successful businesses. That's why so many salons are closing, because they're unwilling to change with the times. They're unwilling to have a mindset that grows. They stopped growing at a certain point and thought they were the best, and their ego took over, and that's why they fail now. You know, that's a lot of the issues that I hear, is because they're not willing to grow either, you know. And you got to be able to do both sides.
But now here's the flip side to that. 2 days later, he walks by and he says, "Sir, have you been helped? Do you need anything?" I said, "No, I'm Eddie. I'm back." I go, "What am I supposed to do today?" And he did a double take. He goes, "The same Eddie that was here a couple of days ago interviewing for the job?" I go, "Yeah, I combed my hair. I washed it. I combed my hair. It took me a couple of days to get it to lay down and not be all up anymore. Because I used to do it with Elmer's glue back then and a flat iron. But anyways, you know, I finally got the glue out of my hair and I got it to lay down. And he goes, "No, you still look like a psychopath." He goes, "You're not even clean shaven. Get out of here." A couple of days later, I showed up. He does a double take again. He goes, "Why do you keep coming back here?" I said, "I'm working here. You're going to hire me, okay? Look, I'm willing to put in the work. You're going to hire me. What am I doing? What do you want me to do today?" He's like, "Hey, just go away." I annoyed the crap out of this guy for 2.5 weeks. I kept showing up every 2 days. Every time he'd point, I mean, he was really snobby about everything.
Is this an analogy of you and Carmelina, or is this actually... I'm just kidding, dude. Just joking.
You know what? Similarly enough, yeah, every time
Carmelina's his wife, by the way.
Yeah, every time Carmelina, when we were working together in the beginning, every time I heard, so she says she like cashews. I went to Costco and bought like a 10-pound bag of cashews and showed up a couple of days later with this monster freaking bag. Carmelina's a stick figure. What the hell? I try so hard to impress, but that was the thing. My level of commitment is so insane that I want to impress. I will do what it takes to get what I want, you know? And he finally, after 2.5 weeks, he goes, "All right, look, man, enough is enough, all right? Fine. You want to prove to me you could do this job? Get over here. I need this, and this." And he gave me every crappy thing there was to do. Like, I was cleaning out the sink drain. He had me doing the snake thing in the sink drain to get all the hair out of the shampoo bowl. It's freaking disgusting. I did it. Didn't care. I came up to him and I said, "All right, what's next?" And he's like, You actually did that?" I'm like, "Yeah, what else you got?" He goes, "All right, go clean the bathroom." I said, "Fine. With a toothbrush or with a mop, which one?" And finally he broke down and he goes, "All right, man, look. Just go grab me some foils. Help me foil this head." go get my brush, help me blow dry this hair. You know, it finally started getting to the point where he was like, all right, just fine. like enough is enough.
If I had any young stylist that wanted to work for me come in with 1/10 of that attitude, I would hire him on the spot. Because you don't even see him with that
But
now.
did you not have a similar experience to some degree in your time as well too? I mean,
Oh
that's what it
yeah,
took back
yeah.
then.
There's that was back then, but you know, that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So it's things have changed a lot, and you know, the reason why confidence building is such an important part of my training program is because that's something I noticed that I will never even get someone asking me those questions if I can't give them a little bit of confidence. So that's where, you know, that part of it kind of comes into how I've developed the training program, because I've had to adapt my stuff. You know, you can't slap people's hands anymore and tell them that they're doing something wrong.
Man, my
If
knuckles
you did
still
that in
hurt.
today's day, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, yeah.
how many times did that happen back in the day just because people were the difference is that back then I understood the intention of my mentor. My mentors were actually trying to help me. And no matter what way they did it, I knew what they meant by it. Nowadays, that's so opposite.
Yeah.
There, you know, the intentions don't even matter anymore. It's all about the action only. So that's why you got to teach the confidence first, because everybody that comes into my salon now that's looking for a job is a skeptic of me. Not one person comes in thinking that I'm the, you know, the best thing that can happen to them and that their career will be good, which is what we used to see in the older individuals. It's so opposite of that now that, you know, you have to remove your ego as a mentor in the beginning if you want to connect with these people, and connecting with them is the first step to getting confidence with them, having them have confidence in you, you know. So I, you know, I guess that's a good intro part of what they need to do if they're wanting to go into somewhere with no experience. They've got to be willing to connect with that person so they can gain the confidence, so they can grow and learn. You know, that's part of that first mental step for that person to be able to get that job. And just really have confidence in yourself. You know, you got to build that confidence in yourself first before you can move into anything.
Absolutely. You know, there's a lot of charity work being done nowadays as well too.
Yeah.
I see a lot of beautiful people doing very nice things, and especially one of my favorite things to see is when they bring in a homeless person and they give them a makeover. You know,
Yeah.
and obviously they're doing the video and they're doing it's a marketing thing to a certain effect,
Right. And that's the part that always bothers me.
but
But
at
that's
the
just me.
core,
Yeah.
if you're truly trying to get experience and you're truly trying to help, you know, this industry is all about making people feel good and making and helping people, you know.
Hmm.
There are shelters that do actively go out there and what do you call solicit salons to ask them if they would volunteer some services to come in and to help at the shelter, not for video and stuff like that, but actually come into the shelter and help these people. You
Yeah.
know,
See, this is
there's
what I loved about Prince so much. Prince was a
the
huge,
artist Prince, the
yeah,
singer.
the artist Prince. So he was huge into charitable donations and working for charity and doing all these things. And nobody knew how much of his empire he actually donated until he died.
Oh,
And I
okay.
love the secrecy that he had, because he didn't want people to, you know, relate his, and I forget what it's called, but his
Oh,
charitable stuff,
philanthropy.
philanthropy. Yeah,
Yeah.
people. He didn't want people to like realize how philanthropic he was, because that it wasn't important that everyone knows. It was just important that he was doing it. So that's where I'm at. Like, I hate when people post all that stuff on social media, because it's a selfish thing. It's not for them to help others as much as it is for other people to watch them helping others, so that the people can judge them based on being a good person on camera. And, those same people that are showing that off, a lot of times you find out later, oh, they're not really good people. They're just doing it all for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So, not that everybody's that way, but I'm a skeptic in that sense.
No, right. So that's why I'm saying if you're doing it
Yeah.
for the right reason, that is another way of getting experience,
Oh,
and
for
you're
sure.
doing an amazing thing, There are some people that's their speed, that's what they're all about. So doing charity work to a certain degree for the right reasons will also help build experience. So now when you're going in to interview, oh, have you ever cut hair before? Have you ever done this before? Have you ever done that before? You could say, actually, yes, I have. And now how much of that personal information you want to divulge is up
Right.
to you, but at least you're speaking with the confidence of that knowledge, of that life lesson, of that learned skill set that you have now gained, that you can actually do this. So charity work is a very nice way of being able to get experience as well. Drives, like in a couple of months in October, September and October, breast cancer awareness, Pink Hair for Hope, it's the number one identifiable thing. A lot of people will start coming into the salon and asking for a strand of pink hair extensions just to be able to show it off. And there's a lot of charities that ask for a donation in exchange for that strand of pink hair. I mean, they're raising millions of dollars,
Yeah.
and you can easily start building up experience that way as well too, by doing those kind of drives, fundraisers and such. It's another way of getting experience.
For sure. And it's a great way to not only get experience, but to help others in the meantime too. At least your work has meaning.
You're double dipping in a sense,
Yeah.
but in a positive way, in a good way. Yeah.
In a good way,
It's not
yeah.
a selfish way.
Yeah.
So that's the go for work. That's the drive that it takes sometimes to be able to get what you want. You just have to get yourself out there. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and be willing to get knocked down a lot or get pushed down a lot and get back up, dust yourself off, and go right back at it again.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, I don't think people stick with anything long enough. I don't think they realize, oh, I've been at this for 6 months and haven't gotten anywhere further than what I've got. I'm not any richer than what I am. I may actually have the same bills, or now I have more bills piled up. So I need to move on to the next thing because I'm not making 100 grand a month or 100 grand a year or whatever it is. I don't think people realize the money will come later. The investment, the return on your investment of time now will pay in dividends later. And unfortunately, it's lost on the youth. We push adulthood so early on, and it's just not, it's so hard to wrap your mind around, being 40 years old now, right? Being 44 now. At 21, I couldn't even imagine what the hell I'm talking about now. Nowhere near what am I talking about now.
I mean, that's the thing. You always say that, like, I always say this. I would love to go back to 21 with the mind that I have right now, with the knowledge
so
I have right
dangerous.
now. Because I could be 10x where I am at now if I knew what I knew now then. You know what I mean? It's like, we always want that. We always talk about that comes up in conversation all the time, at least with me and my friends. And we always laugh about it. But that also helps on the back end, thinking about, all the times that I was frustrated and annoyed and in a bad mood in those first 20 years were almost pointless too, because everybody goes through the same thing. Everybody suffers the same way. And it's just a matter of, are you going to get back up or are you going to let it take over?
So then I still can't figure out, why is it so hard to commit to something? If you say you're going to do something, where is this arbitrary time frame that comes in where within the first 2 dates or the first 3 months or like within the first year, if this hasn't happened, that's it, it's over. You have to move on. Like, I get lost. That's where I get lost a little bit.
Well, the only analogy I can think of to relate it to is, I want a 6-pack
for your body,
for my belly.
Okay,
Yeah. But 2 days into working out for it, I quit.
Why?
because the work is too hard to get to a six pack.
So then, did you really
I'm
want that
saying
six
that
pack?
I do really want it, but I'm like the 20-year-old of today. I want to magically get it. I don't want to work for it. So in my life,
Do you know how to do magic?
I don't. However, the reason why I'm saying this, it's supposed to be humorous,
No,
but
I know. That's why I'm asking.
it's also supposed to hit a nerve because it's like that is the one part of my life where I allow the stupidity of modern day thinking to affect me. I like food too much to get a six pack because I don't want to sacrifice good food and exercise to get it. Now, those are two things that should I do for the betterment of me? Yes. Do I mentally go back and forth on it? Yes. And am I pushing to get there one day? Yes. But
Not
that's that
today.
failing. That's that failing. And well, no, I'm saying this because it's been
Yeah.
true for me for years. Like I'm at a point now where I'm like, all right, do I get a personal trainer? What do I need to do? Because I really do want it. And I really want to get to the point where I'm a fit 43-year-old, not a fat 43-year-old. And right now it's getting to the point where it's bothering me enough. And I'm at a point where I feel like I have enough time that I can dedicate to that. So I'm going to do it, and this is the year. But I've been saying this for 15 years. I'm being honest. I have. I've been saying it for 15 years. And there's a million other aspects of my life where that mentality does not bother me. With my business, I never had that mentality. I busted my butt for it, and I didn't mind doing it. So it's just the prioritization part of it, too. You have to make it a priority for you, too, that mentally you can push through and continue to do it. For 15 years, I failed because it didn't become a priority in my life. There was a lot of other things that were more important. But now at 43, and it's going to be way harder for me to do now. So I kick myself because had I done this 15 years ago and maintained it, at 43, it would be so easy because I wouldn't be falling off the wagon so much. Now I'm fat. So to lose all this weight at 43 years old, it takes 10 times as long as it would have if I was 23.
We'll start walking together.
You know what I mean?
And
Yeah, but
one
you're
day I'll be
skinny.
able to get my arms
You're
around you to give
skinny,
you a
dude.
hug.
You can get your arms almost around me, but not all the way. Like I want someone to grab me around the waist and be able to grab their wrist like this. Now it's like that, I want to lay flat on my stomach like this, not like teeter-totter because I got the belly, So.
Well, then somebody could stand on your back and practice surfing.
Yeah.
See, you got to be positive. You got to be positive about it.
But even someone like myself, there's aspects of my life where I wish I could change my thinking, and I'm working on it. It's a constant battle.
One of the things that I think nowadays is easier than it was 20 something years ago. Everybody is bought into this idea of passive income nowadays.
Yeah, there's that. That's a
Right?
huge thing. And yeah.
So my advice, usually when a stylist comes to me and says they're struggling and they're not sure and they think they're going to switch and they're going to jump ship and they're going to go somewhere else, I always say to them, what are you doing? Are you really controlling your passive income properly? Meaning this, you've invested this much time here. Has it paid off for you yet? Have you given it a chance to pay off for you yet? Because if you go somewhere else, yes, of course you can. And I don't know if you should or if you shouldn't, but you're going to start all over. And how much time are you willing to wait until that pays you back your dividends, right?
Right.
And then how many times can you keep jumping ship? And if you're just a salon hopper at that point, when are you ever, like 3, 4, 5 years later, you've went to 4 or 5, 6 different places, but you're still haven't gotten anywhere. You're not making any money yet, And then you end up quitting the industry and now you're working something else, somewhere else. And that sucks because you never gave it a chance. And now you're just left jaded and you're like, see, this industry sucks.
Right.
So it's rough. It's really, really rough. So And I don't know what that amount of time is for everybody. Everybody's going to be different. What I do know is this: if you reevaluate your position every quarter, every 3 months, or every 6 months, and you just see, are you just a little bit more ahead? Are you at least stable and a little bit more ahead? Because if you went down, then you need to make a serious decision. What happened? Are you not committed, or is the place that you're at not committed to you? But if you're at the same place where you are, then there's opportunity for you to grow. And if you have grown, then raise your bar up and grow more. You know, that
Right.
it is a good way to measure. That's the best advice I got as far as investing your time now and getting that time returned back to you later.
Yeah, and my words of advice that I have for the everybody out there is just to um, take the time to assess in your internal, everything internal, your mind, your heart, your desires of success, what you want, and then physically, journal a plan, write it out, figure out what you want to do, and then set goals that are daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and yearly goals. And then just start checking things off the box, checking the boxes off, check the list, and try to accomplish one thing a day. And just do it simply for yourself. If you have struggles with your own self-confidence, get a therapist. Talk to somebody about how you can feel better about who you are to gain that confidence. And just start at the base issue and start working your way to be the best version of yourself. All the money will come if you focus on being the best version of yourself. All the right things will happen, And surround yourself with people that do the same thing too. Don't keep people around you that are pulling you down.
You know, yeah, my mom was right. She used to say, "You are what you eat, and you are who you hang out with."
Yeah.
And if you're hanging out with loser, then you're gonna end up loser. If you're hanging out with complaining people, you're gonna be complainer. If you're hanging out with motivated people, you're gonna be
You're gonna be
motivated.
motivated.
You're gonna be motivated, And if you're hanging out with competitive people, it's gonna force you to not be in last place all the time in the group. You're gonna have to be competitive yourself. So that's really powerful advice what you just said, And then you mentioned journaling, and it's something that I've learned about recently, and it's something that I've been working on very hard, right? But I know this about you, that you do journaling, and you are really good about it too. Can you like bring that home? How would somebody start doing that, and what is the purpose of the journaling? Because it is very powerful. But you can explain it way better than I can, if you don't mind.
Well, for me, it's just organization of thought. If someone like myself, I am like ADHD, and my
Wait, what?
brain runs. Yeah, exactly. My brain runs like a million miles an hour, to the point where I've always been an idea guy, where I'll start something and then I wouldn't finish it. And it's something that's always kind of annoyed me in my life. So as I got a little bit older and I started learning more about myself, I just decided, and speaking with my therapist and stuff, she had mentioned like try journaling. So I just bought a journal and I just started writing thoughts. And I've also, when I was younger, I used to love writing songs and stuff like that. So sometimes I write just thoughts out. Sometimes I write my thoughts in songs. Sometimes I write my thoughts in bullet points, and just try to organize like a list for, my daily activity. And then the goals that I set for myself, it's all about understanding balance. So you can put a whole list of goals for yourself that you want to achieve, but mentally you have to understand that like life happens sometimes, and you may have a day or two that you don't get anything done, and that's okay. You just got to keep coming back. And journaling is really, like, I look at it this way. When you go to college, it's not for everybody. But as an employer, it's not about the degree you have in what specific thing you get. Most employers will look at the fact, did you go to college? Did you do the work? And did you graduate? Because if you did those things, then it shows me that you're going to show up every day and be here for it. I personally didn't graduate from college. However, I went to beauty school and I finished beauty school, and then I continued to enter competitions and put myself out there and do things where I did get to the finish line on those. So I do have certain things that show I'm going to put the work in. I'm not going to complain about it to anybody else. I may complain internally, but I'm not going to share that with anybody. And I'm going to show up every day and I'm going to work till the finish line. You know, and those are good qualities, characteristics. And by doing that in the morning, journaling became something where I was able to show up for myself every day. And by showing up for myself every day and just writing some stuff down for 15, 20 minutes, that's helped me in just my own self-exploration, my own self-confidence, and my own growth. And it's like going to the gym, you know. It's something that you have to do every day. You have to show up. You've got to get in that mental capacity of like, no, I'm going to do this, you know. And then you also need to find rewards for yourself too. You've got to be able to experience fun through the process.
You got to experience that fun, and it's got to be worth it for you, fulfilling. You got to get a level of self-fulfillment out of it, so you can.
And
feel
I
good
think
about
by
yourself.
journaling, you're going to do that. You're going to create self-fulfillment. You're going to create self-confidence. Nothing negative has come from journaling for me personally. You know, it doesn't mean that I don't write down negative thoughts sometimes, but sometimes I'll write it down as a way to just get rid of it. I don't ever go back to look and dwell or, you know, think about those things, because that, you know, by doing that, it's also a lesson I've learned over time that I used to be a big time overthinker, and it was always over the negative stuff. I wouldn't dwell on the positive stuff. My brain would just stick on the negative things. And then nobody around me liked me because I was just a miserable person when I'd be in that headspace. So it's helped me in so many ways. And it's just every individual is different, but journaling will be the same quality for every individual. It may have different things that come out of it that you get out of it, but the quality of life is what you're going for.
Well, that's the best advice we can give. You know, it's be an individual, be confident. You're going to be nervous, and it's a nerve-wracking experience trying to get your first foot in the door into this industry. But there are opportunities out there. You got to find those people. You're going to get rejected. It's okay, because you're going to finally find the person, the one person who's going to be good to you, and you're going to feel good about, and then you're going to feel great about yourself. Measure your progress. It's okay. And if you have to be a gopher, or if you have to do some charity work, or if you have to, you just have to find out what you're comfortable at, what level to commit yourself. You know, because everything is an investment now for tomorrow.
And if you find a mentor who's willing to, may not pay you, but willing to give you their time, just know that time is money. And that sentence means something specific, so that you are getting value out of somebody, even if they're not paying you, but they're just sharing experience and technique and, you know, growth with you. You're getting paid. So don't count it out just because there's not a monetary, you know, piece of paper in your pocket.
Yeah, just because you don't got a couple of dollars. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's our hour, man.
All right. That was a good one. I liked it. I had a good
Right?
time.
It flew right by.
Yeah.
Let us know, everybody watching. You know, let us know what you guys think, and then we'll go from there. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll catch y'all next week. Oh, and
All right.
thank you, Giovanni, for hanging out with us.
Good to see all you. Thank you very much. Love y'all.
We'll have you again, I'm sure.
I look forward to it.